Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to part 2 of our F125 deep dive videos. Yes, of course, if you missed out on the video that went live last week, we looked at all of the big changes that are coming to My Team and Driver Career Mode inside F125, and obviously yesterday EA released another video kind of talking through some of the things you should expect to see inside the game. Now, next week we've got Breaking Point. That's going to be quite a big one that I'm very looking forward to obviously going into detail with you. But this week I think is kind of a weirdly important one. I think it's going to help with the longevity of the game for a lot of people. They kind of just grouped this as almost like miscellaneous, but a lot of the other changes that are going on are behind the scenes ready for F125. Of course, if you want to keep up with all the latest F125 content, make sure you hit that sub button as well. We're trying to hit 140,000 before the new game releases. But yeah, let's just dive straight into it then. First of all, of course, as I'm sure most of you are already aware, Xbox One, PS4, gone in the bin. We're no longer supporting those games inside the kind of franchise as well, or no longer supporting those consoles in the franchise, and that of course has given EA and Codemasters suddenly a huge amount more headroom to kind of improve the game as well, because they are still adamant that the Ego engine that they run the games off of has a lot more kind of potential to be worked with, and based on everything else we've seen, maybe that is actually true. So the first big announcement that has come that I am so happy is finally being implemented is LiDAR tracks. Now, for those of you that don't know, that basically means laser scan circuits. So they are going to be millimeter accurate and actually based on the real-life race weekend. For F125, we are getting 5 circuits that are going to be laser scanned, so Bahrain, Miami, Melbourne, Suzuka, and Imola. So 5 of the circuits kind of toward the start of your calendar, but yeah, 5 very good ones, and 5 that I think, ultimately they want to kind of invest in circuits that are going to be, on the calendar for quite a few more years. So Miami and Imola maybe won't be there for too much longer, but I would assume therefore that EA have kind of got a deal in place with those venues to keep them in the game, even if they get dropped off the real calendar. Of course, Suzuka and Imola, even I should say, I'm going to be doing a direct comparison between the EA version and the iRacing version when we get access to F125 as well, so definitely get yourself ready for a video on those. But yeah, as I mentioned, the other big thing, which is something that iRacing can't boast with their versions of these tracks, is that EA Codemasters, they actually scanned these during a Grand Prix weekend. So what we're going to be getting is the circuit 1-to-1 accurate with the real life track from the races last year. So if there's a sponsor board somewhere, if there's an Armco barrier somewhere just for the race weekend, that is going to be inside the game as well. It also means, for example, like the pit facilities and things like that, all of the trucks and trailers outside of the circuit, they are all going to be accurate as well. And a few other little bits and pieces as well. For example, the example that they used was for Suzuka. There's actually now cherry blossoms on the circuit as well. Prior to now, it was just kind of generic trees were placed around each circuit, but for F125 there are going to be trees that are accurate to each of the venues. Yes, I'm sure some of you are there going, great, we've got new trees, that's not exactly what I want in an F1 game, but it does add to the authenticity, and I think kind of shows that EA are trying to go in the right direction of making the games kind of more true to life as well, which is important at the end of the day. You want to feel like you're actually racing at the venue. It was always, I think, Jeddah on F1 2021 was really odd because there was kind of nothing around the circuit, or Qatar as well in previous years where there's just nothing kind of near the venue, especially Qatar on F1 22. It felt very isolated, or F1 23 even, I should say. Now, the other big addition that some of you guys are really looking forward to as well is actually the reverse circuits inside the game. Now, obviously, we've got 5 new LiDAR scan circuits, 3 reverse tracks as well. Those are Silverstone, Austria, and Zandvoort. Now, I've actually known about this for quite a long time, this little nugget of information. I actually went up to the EA's or Codemasters offices, I think it was the end of last year, and actually tried these circuits on the reverse layout, and they are all really, really good fun. I think they've picked 3 fantastic circuits for this option. Silverstone, of course, is really fast and flowing either way you go around, and obviously back, if you guys remember, in 2020 there were talks about actually running a British Grand Prix in reverse, obviously during the COVID pandemic, to try and make the racing a little bit more interesting. Austria is a really kind of different challenge because of the elevation. For example, what is normally turn 3 now is a really, really tough corner, and trying to spot your apex point into what is normally turn 1 but is now the last corner was really, really tricky as well. But staggeringly, the most fun of the 3 was actually Zandvoort. Obviously the banked, what is now the 3rd last corner, I guess, and the banked turn 1. Really, really interesting. And actually it feels like Zandvoort is better to drive backwards, and I hope for the career mode sake that we can implement that, because I would definitely give a reverse Zandvoort Grand Prix a go. In fact, I would choose it over a normal Zandvoort Grand Prix as well. I'll be honest though, yeah, they're really fun additions to the game, but I think unless they're implemented into career mode, leagues might use them once or twice, but they seem like a bit of an odd addition to F1 25 personally. Like I said, they'll be good fun, but I'm kind of there going, will a lot of people play them once and go, yeah, that's fun and a little bit different, and if they're not in career mode or you don't have the option in career mode, are people kind of going to go, yep, great, driven that now, and I'm never going to touch it again? We'll have to wait and see. Let me know, obviously, whether you're hyped for them down in the comments below. Now, one of the things that I know is really, really important to you guys, not so much personally because I'm terrible artistically wise, is actually the livery editor. Yes, for F1 25, finally, we are getting a huge overhaul to the liveries, so no longer are the days of your sponsor has to go in one of these 7 locations on the car. Finally, we're going to be able to move them freely across the car. Now, probably the easiest way to describe this, honestly, is what F1 Manager did with the My Team feature inside that game. It seems like EA took a lot of inspiration from F1 Manager with a lot of things so far. But yeah, you're going to be able to move kind of sponsor liveries all over the car. You're going to be able to do a lot more with them. There's also going to now be kind of official liveries, but that are modified to have kind of your specific kind of title sponsor on those liveries, and then you're going to be able to put more logos on top of them as well. There's a lot more kind of baseline liveries inside the game. We've moaned about that a lot over the last couple of years, that kind of the game comes default with like 3 liveries on F1 24 for My Team. It was terrible. I think they've listened to kind of the community, and yeah, we're going to see a lot more of them inside F1 24, as well as the other big one for a lot of people was actually the number options. Of course, you kind of just get your number. So for me, for example, it was just 21 slapped on the side of the car, the same font no matter what livery you're using. There are now 116 options inside F1 25 by my count. Of course, there's, 1 to 9, or 0 to 9, I should say, implemented inside the game. But yeah, with all the different colours, with all the different font types as well, you're going to be able to find something that suits your race car as well. And I think this is going to be a huge, huge kind of plus for a lot of people. Might kind of allow some fun with modding as well. But I think, yeah, it's just going to kind of improve the longevity of the game. And it does really kind of feel like with these implementations that My Team 2.0 is going to be a much, much bigger deal as well. Speaking of My Team, obviously, if you guys have played F1 24 or F1 23, My Team, you'll know that even if you changed engine supplier, the car sounded the same. That's because engines were determined actually by the team, rather than the engine supplier. So, of course, all of the cars inside F1 24 sound ever so slightly different. But for F1 25, depending on which engine manufacturer you go with as well, your My Team car now is finally going to sound different. It is just a little bit of a quality of life change, but really, really important, ready for the game. Special liveries. This one is fantastic, and I genuinely think EA have cooked with this. Obviously, if you guys remember, it didn't really happen on F1 24, but on F1 23 and F1 22, for example, if McLaren brought, let's use a really well-known example, the Golf livery that they used in 2021. That livery obviously would be implemented into the game. There will be an option normally to unlock it, to put it on your My Team car, and then the McLaren would also use it inside the game for a few weeks until it was then removed from the game once again. F125, they're doing it properly. So when a special livery is brought into the game, it will stay there forever. It will always be inside the game. It will be on the official race car as well. So, for example, McLaren obviously using that Golf livery. But even better than that, you will have the option in career mode. So, again, using that Golf livery as an example, McLaren then every season when you go back to Monaco will then use that livery. So cool. Finally, they're doing it right. It's, always felt like doing the challenges to unlock the liveries was good fun, but they kind of then didn't feel special after that. And I remember sometimes, I think it was the Ferrari livery, kind of themed similar to the hat I'm wearing for this video. I tried to record a load of races, so then the Ferrari, that kind of special yellow livery, was going to be in the game a little bit longer, kind of in our career mode. But yeah, it's going to be fantastic and a really, really welcome addition. So, for example, I think it was VCarb last year used a special Miami livery, didn't they? That will then always be on the car ready for Miami. You're going to have the option to either put it on for those special races, or if you don't want to, you do have the option to kind of take the livery off and just kind of keep it saved inside the game files as well. But yeah, a really, really good implementation. Probably the best implementation, I would argue, of F1 World. That sees some new events ready for F1 25. I'll be honest, I'm still not really convinced that F1 World is where they should be focusing pretty much any resources for the game, but I understand, they kind of want to try and do something with live service as well. There's going to be all new events for it. That's about as much as I want to talk about with F1 World, because, yeah, like I said, I really don't care about it. Other quality of life improvements that we're seeing for F1 25 as well is the flashback system has been changed. I'm not really sure how. They kind of mentioned it, briefly kind of glossed over it, but hopefully now it's basically what they want to do is, of course, if you're new to the game, you have a crash, you rewind, you have the same crash again. I think they're going to try and do something to, I would assume, and I genuinely don't know this, that maybe, for example, you'll have a racing line that shows you kind of the mistake you made, so you'll know to brake earlier or turn in earlier or later or whatever. But yeah, flashback system has been completely overhauled, ready for F1 25. Personally, it's not something that I think has had many issues in recent games, but yeah, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't, who really knows. There's also what's being dubbed as path tracing. This is exclusively for the PC version of the game. I would assume it's based on Nvidia's ray tracing, and obviously what we've seen in recent years as well, but it's hopefully going to allow kind of the light to interact with the circuit and the environments a lot more accurately. Of course, again, where we're not having to deal with the old generation of consoles, PS4, Xbox One, hopefully this is going to work really, really well and kind of be implemented. Like I said, it's only on PC at the moment. I don't believe PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are able to kind of implement these features yet, but good to see that PC again is getting a few more quality of life changes. Other little career mode ones that weren't mentioned last week is the, if you guys remember actually, I think it was always before the middle race of the season on F1 24. I always remember being Hungary. You'd get that weird little interview between Natalie Pinkham and Anthony Davidson. It would only ever happen once inside the career mode. You'd never see it again. If it wasn't filmed, nobody would believe it's real. That's coming back for F1 25. Clearly what that was a little tester run inside F1 24, but we're going to be getting more of these inside F1 25 as well. Hopefully will kind of allow you to implement bigger storylines and things like that as well. Last few little bits and pieces, podiums have been updated, so each circuit now is meant to have a more accurate and real-to-life podium than what obviously we've had in the game in recent years. That was kind of a few of them were implemented, and then most of them were kind of like a baseline podium inside the game. Also, AI drivers now are going to have radio in qualifying, so you'll be able to hear another driver say they did a good lap or that they want to go back out again towards the end of a session. And there are twice the amount of driver or AI driver voice lines inside the game as well. So, hopefully we're going to get more team radio messages. If, Verstappen wins a race, he'll go simply lovely. If Hamilton wins a race, he might say still I rise. Or, little bits and pieces like that kind of were hinted at for F1 24 and then never kind of got released inside the game as well. But there we are then. 15 more minutes-ish of F1 25 information for you all. Next week, like I said, there will be a breaking point video, the final one of kind of these little 3 deep dives that we've been given access to. Again, a massive thank you to EA for the continued support as well. Like I said, get yourself subscribed if you're new. Let me know what you're hyped for as well inside F1 25. I really do think we're starting to see kind of big improvements towards the longevity of the franchise. But yeah, that's going to do this for this one. We'll be back very soon with more F1 25 content.